Doom Vivamus Vivamus Epicureans. This is the BCE Comics Pod one-shot edition. I'm your host, Nick Smith, and I'm joined by...
Stojr from Stojr Shelf. How's it going, Nick?
I'm doing well, particularly since we are participating in Kurtis Findlay's Epic Marvel Podcast Reading Club, and this one-shot is going to be our brief thoughts on today's issue, which is Uncanny X-Men number 190, An Age Undreamed Of. Dan Green now returns to art and joins John Romita Jr. All right, so that mysterious amulet that came, that was several issues ago. It seems longer because of the miniseries, the Wolverine Key Pride miniseries. Anyway, that mysterious amulet has come back and has possessed a man, turning him into the Hyborian sorcerer Kulan Gath. Well, Kulan Gath has remade Manhattan into an ensorcelled version of itself, of his time period, with all the people within Manhattan being analogs of their former lives. The Morlocks are serving as Kulan Gath's elite mutant servants, and a merged version of Professor Xavier and Caliban is acting as his hound dog, rooting out mutants to continue acting as Kulan Gath's servants. Now, the only persons inside Manhattan who seem to be unaffected are Spider-Man and Selene. Well, Selene manages to make contact with Storm and Callisto when they inadvertently go outside of the spell, and Selene convinces the two to work together to gather the mutants and other heroes to then fight back against Kulan Gath. All right, Stojr, what are your thoughts here?
There's a lot going on there. My first thought is effing magic, man. I'm just when I see this villain, I think like, oh, they're doing a crossover with Conan, and this is like a Conan villain. And I don't read Conan, but like this is like the impression I get, like that he would have like some sort of weird sorcerers like this that would do these types of things. I have no idea if this is a brand new villain or if he's got a history at Marvel. I forgot to look it up. I think I think this is an interesting story. Like, I don't hate this story because I think it's like very different. It's got an interesting flair. What I like about this issue is the sort of team up of unlikely characters. So you have Callisto and Storm, as well as Selene with Amara and Rachel kind of teaming up throughout this. So the sort of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of logic as you go through this is somewhat interesting. As we talked about with the last issue, because I was so fond of the way that JR's pencils looked in that issue, mainly I think due to the inker. This issue I'm more of a critique from. I think everything looks a little bit like kind of muddy and faded. That would be another reason why I would like seek out a reprint. Was there any sort of restoration done with the art? Is this because of like poor scans or something like that? I don't think that's the case. I think that the case here is just that they sort of didn't pencil this as dark or as crisp as I would maybe like, or as the last issue had that to go through with this. I kind of feel like also from a story perspective, we're kind of thrown in. Like I almost feel like I'm missing something. I went and looked up. Like, was this a crossover? And there's like other issues. Was there a mini series? And I know they didn't do that stuff back then, but obviously Secret Wars was kind of like the first of its kind for that type of stuff. But like, was it? This feels like you're reading the X-Men. There's some event going on, and you only get the X-Men issues, but you didn't get the main series or collect all of the tie-ins, so you're just kind of getting one little angle to the issue. I feel very much just like kind of thrown into things, and I get that like once the amulet was activated, he just kind of like his power kind of sprung up, but there was no build up. Like what we could have had a couple issue with him, like, turning people and sort of like amassing his power. But what, like the minute somebody just touches the amulet, like he just automatically is at full strength. It kind of feels a little odd from that perspective and just throws me off. And I'm going to have even more complaints with that on the next issue, but I'm going to save those thoughts because I seriously seek things out to see if I'm missing something when we start off the next issue. I don't hate this. I just like I feel like I should have liked this more. I guess that's why I'm like a little frustrated with from both a storytelling perspective as well as from an art perspective because I do like a lot of the elements here, but it's just like I feel like I'm missing something and I'm frustrated that I'm missing something. I don't know if that makes sense. What are your
No,
thoughts?
makes perfect sense. I mean, this is a very jarring turn to suddenly have the world change like this with what seems to be very little setup other than the amulet makes an appearance and it's kind of talking to this guy who works on the dock, but otherwise doesn't do much. Part of me thinks that that's kind of the point. It was jarring for the characters, and now it's jarring for the readers. And I do think Claremont's decision to have Valerie Cooper give a briefing at the White House sets up the background knowledge that we do need for this, so that kind of felt appropriate. But I'll admit, when I was reading this, I had the same thought of we're missing something. But seeing Spider-Man involved sparked a memory that I had, and I don't think this was explained in this issue. And maybe we get a hint in it in a future issue, but I remember that Spider-Man had once fought a Conan villain in Marvel Team Up. This is in Marvel Team Up number 79, and I looked back into it. It is cool and goth. Chris Claremont wrote it, and it came out in 1978, so it was about, 6 years before this one came out. This is the issue where Mary Jane Watson turns into Red Sonja. And I remember that issue specifically because I sought that out when I was buying the Marvel Essential Collections. I had the Marvel Team Up Essential Collections, and they did not reprint that issue because of Red Sonja and the rights that were involved with her. So I have a copy of that, and I can't share it because it's in my box upstairs that I can't get to. But if we ever get Marvel Team Up Epics, chances are Team Up 79 is not going to be reprinted unless they work something out. Cool on Goth makes an appearance there. Spider-Man figures out that the amulet is what the problem is, and he's the one who throws it in the river, where it then gets found in the X-Men. So that is our setup that happened several years ago. Part of the reason why I knew that this one we have had a reprint, this volume 12 had a reprint in 2024, is it got me thinking of, well, wait, Cool and Goth is a Conan villain. Marvel's lost the right to Conan. They printed this when Marvel had the rights to Conan. Could we ever get this reprinted again because of Cool and Goth? Well, luckily, Cool and Goth is a Marvel invention, so they can reprint this one all they want. There's no problems there. So anyway, yeah, I went down a rabbit hole with this one too because I had the same thought of what are we missing, but seeing Spider-Man there, that reminded me.
Well, and to Claremont's for to I don't want to say to his credit, but like to let him off the hook a little bit, like he didn't know that like they would never be able to reprint that or the rights issues, and for them it was only 6 years, so it would have been a little bit more in the zeitgeist. But it almost would have been good to like have a couple pages from Spider-Man's point of view in here that like reference some of the backstory or like a little editor's note. Go see Marvel Team go search out Marvel Team Up 79 or whatever issue you said it was.
Yeah.
So anyway, continue. I just like that's great that it's there, but it's also frustrating.
No, I completely agree because that was bothering me too. There is no citation in here saying that we've seen this before, we know where this is coming from, so it does feel like it comes out of nowhere. Anyway, I do like a bit of sword and sorcery. That I think is fun. Again, I am kind of a fan of Conan. The fight sequence in the end I thought was a little jumbled and a little confusing, so I'm hoping the storyline will start to tighten up now that it's gotten started. Yeah, gosh, it's a lot. And that cover, I just thought we have another transformation cover, right? We've got Xavier and Caliban merged together, and while that's kind of cool, it's not the focus of the story. But, that's maybe the 1985 version of clickbait, right? Ooh, look at this. What's happening to Xavier?
And do they explain, they don't really explain why, other than, Caliban's easy to manipulate and Xavier's not, so if I, merge them together, I can control Xavier, but, there's no other reason for it, right?
Yeah, and so far as I know, and maybe I've missed something, maybe it's in New Mutants or something, I don't think we've been told what Caliban's mutant powers are, right?
Right, because I know what his powers are in the future, but to your point, like they haven't revealed it, and he's like he has the ability to be a mutant hunter, and I don't know if that is something he gets when Apocalypse kind of levels him up, or if that's something he always has, and they just don't talk about it until later. So it almost makes sense, right? You could like have the senses of hunting down mutants from. It's almost like Caliban becomes like his like organic cerebro or something like that. But they don't talk about any of that, so they just like randomly merge them together.
Yeah, yeah, fully agree with that. It felt weird, and I made sense of it based off of the same knowledge you have of that's Caliban's power. But I don't know if that's been explained at this point. If it had, I had missed it.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I've got. Stojr, any other final thoughts?
No, I'm good. Looking forward to the next issue.
All right. Well, again, as always, if you've enjoyed our thoughts, follow us on YouTube. We're going to read, rate, and review a full big collected edition comic once a month, plus these daily one-shots. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.